What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's a rainy, dark, gross day here in Georgia. That's a song, actually. Anyway, today we're going to talk about two pens that I guess some folks would consider them competitors. However, I think you're going to find my thoughts on this are that they are complements of each other and you should have one of each. We'll leave links to them in the description. If you use those links, it helps out the channel. Thank you for doing that. A little discount for you too. If you use Dylan10, I think you'll get a discount on these pens. They're inexpensive. At the time of making this video, they're somewhere around $30. The Lamy Safari and the TWSBI Eco. They're completely different in operation. They feel different. They are very cool though. And I know a lot of people use them as sort of a beginner pen. However, even after having a bunch of other pens, I still like these pens. Let's get into some of the differences that I feel are important to me, and I may miss a few. So if you notice some differences about these pens, if you've had experience with either or both of them, put them in the description. In the comments section, comment about them, because I know we all notice different things, right? And that'll help out the community. You know, pointing out the things that you notice different or like versus one versus the other. Throw that in the comments, but let me show you some things that I think are different, but also that make both of these pens really cool. All right, so we got the old TWSBI Eco, Lamy Safari, TWSBI Eco, Lamy Safari. The reason I got 4 of them here, 2 of each, is because these don't have ink in them and these do have ink in them, so we'll get to that in a minute. So let's just talk specifically about size. Size comparison wise, they're very similar. However, the Lamy Safari is narrower. So if you like a narrower grip, you will like the Lamy Safari. The thing is that the grip is very specific, which we'll get into in a minute. We'll take the caps off of these and we will show you them posted. And you'll also see that they're also still very similar in length. We'll just show just the pen bodies. They're also very similar. There is some pretty big differences though between these two pens. Obviously the quote-unquote operating system is going to be different because this pen, the TWSBI Eco, is an internal piston. So that means that you have to use bottled ink, right? This one is a cartridge or a converter. Let's see, I guess I don't have a cartridge in that pen, so we'll show you the one that's full. So it has a cartridge. Now the cartridge that this comes with is proprietary to Lamy and it does cost a few bucks extra. But by the time you buy the cartridge and the pen, the Lamy Safari is basically the same price, more or less, a few bucks here or there, as the TWSBI Eco. So cost-wise, they're pretty similar. Size-wise, they're pretty similar. But there's a couple of kind of, obviously the operating system is different. You could say that if you were wanting to stay beginnery, that the Lamy Safari would be easier to deal with because you could either go with a preloaded cartridge or you could use the piston and use bottled ink. Where with the TWSBI Eco, you're kind of stuck with bottled ink. But honestly, I think that's cool because the possibilities are endless. So, you know, there is that. The grips are relatively the same size in the hand. Now you could measure them and you might be like, well, this one's a little thicker. However, there's something that's very, very specific, and you can see it here in the video here. This is round, and this has a very specific kind of tripod shape to the top of the grip. You'll see how it is like flat, it's got these flats, and then it's round on the bottom. The idea is that because it's a fountain pen, the angle that you write has to be correct, right? Like it's harder to write, or almost impossible. Well, it is impossible to write on the side or upside down, although some pens do reverse write, but that's neither here nor there for this point. To be able to align the nib with the paper correctly and be able to write correctly, this kind of has like a, I don't know, it like holds you to a particular angle. Like it doesn't really allow you to hold the pen crooked, which is okay. However, some folks do have to have a specific writing angle that might not fit perfectly with this. I'm left-handed, so for me to write with this pen, I do, well, fountain pens in general actually, I do have to kind of make sure that I write below the paper or below the line so that I don't, you know, smear the ink or whatever. But this could cause you to have a specific angle that you may not like. Fortunately, the pen is very inexpensive and it's something that you can try and decide if you like it or not, but just keep that in mind. Now, if you do like this, there is a model of the TWSBI Eco called the TWSBI Eco T that has a similar triangular angle to this. So if you want a TWSBI and the features that come with the TWSBI, but you like that angular grip, there's a way to get it. It's called the TWSBI Eco T. I'll leave a link to the variations of these in the description so that you can try them. Now, let's talk writing experience, because that is honestly what's really important about this stuff. Okay, let's start with the Lamy Safari. When we look at the nib design of the Lamy Safari, it's a little bit different. It's got this kind of nib that slides onto these two rails, and you can actually interchange this nib with other pens. So like I've bought the nib before and, you know, just replace it. In fact, this pen came with a different nib and I put a medium back on it. So this is a medium nib. They come in a couple of different colors. They come in, actually you can put a gold nib on here if you wanted to. It's like 125 bucks to do it, but you could. And Lamy nibs are really nice and smooth. So this is, okay, so I've been waving it around. This is a Lamy medium steel nib. Medium steel nibs by Lamy are super, super, super smooth. I absolutely love them. This is, I forget what color this is. It's a Lamy ink color though. Anyway, I'll leave a link to the ink in the description. I really like this color. Here's the thing. This is a medium. It's very smooth. It writes really well. It's super, super reliable. I have really nothing bad to say about this nib at all whatsoever. Obviously, it is a steel nib. It is an inexpensive pen. You know, we're not talking Visconti, Mont Blanc, Pilot territory here. You know, it is a steel nib, but it is very, very smooth. The one thing I will say is that if we compare a fine one of these to a fine TWSBI, the TWSBI fine is smoother, in my opinion, than the Lamy fine. Another huge advantage to the TWSBI pen is that it is a demonstrator. Like that's a huge deal, right? Which means that it's clear. And so if you want to use shimmer inks in it, this one, see, it's got a shimmer in there. You can go ahead and roll this around, make sure it's nice and mixed up. And, you know, let's just make sure this is tossed around a little bit. And we will write with it. I really like the TWSBI Eco steel nib, and this is a fine. So if you look at the line variation or the line difference between, obviously this is a medium and this is a fine, but what I will tell you is the fine, like I just said it, but now that I'm writing with it, I will tell you that this fine is as smooth as that medium. That is not the case with the Lamy one. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, if you want smooth, to me, TWSBI makes a smoother nib in the fine. Yeah, this is such a great nib. Absolutely love it. And going back to the Lamy medium, this is a pen that I have inked up constantly, pretty much. Yeah, I absolutely love it. This is such a cool pen. They're both really light, 17, 18 grams, something like that. This pen's a couple grams heavier. They're also both available in a lot of colors. You know, there's all kinds of colors available that you can get these things in. So that's not an issue. And like I said, if you wanted that triangular grip, you could get a TWSBI Eco T in that triangular grip and it would be pretty cool. So, you know, that gives you kind of an idea. Now, I know a lot of people would say these aren't actually competitive. I know that some people would say that there are some other Pilot and some Pelican pens that would be more competitive between these two because they are opposite operating systems, you know, one being an internal piston and one being a cartridge converter. However, I think when you're looking at a pen to get you started and kind of go next level from just a, you know, Pilot preppy or something, that for 30 bucks or so, 30 or 40, I don't remember. Oh, we'll leave links to them in the description. The prices are always changing, but I think they're super comparable. And on top of that, I think that they are both worth having. These are two quote unquote entry level pens that I know that all of us in my family, we all have one inked up constantly. Leslie has, I think, 2 Ecos, and she has a couple of Safaris, and I know that she's got them both inked up at all times for different reasons. One of the things about the TWSBIs too is they're really awesome about cooperating with really cool shimmer inks. The nibs don't jam up super easy, and they're pretty awesome. Brianna has a couple of each too, and so do I. So they work really well. So I think they're both worth having. And the fun part about these pens is I don't really view them as a versus or a competition. I think they do complement each other. You use different ones for different things. I find that the Lamy Safari, especially the matte finish ones, are I kind of call them my Rubbermaid pens. Like, they're super durable. I've got one in my backpack. Actually, this is the one that goes in my backpack all the time because I just feel like it can go anywhere. I'm not saying you would break one of these, but I also think that, you know, I don't know. For some reason, I just try to feel like I want to be a little more careful with this one. Where this one, I feel like I can beat on a little bit more, throw it around a little bit more, throw it in the bottom of a backpack, like I said. Cleaning wise, your Safari is going to be easier. However, the Eco does come with a tool to take it apart so you can clean it. But I do feel like this is quicker and easier to clean. Even though this is easier, I think this is quicker. So again, I know a lot of people like to do kind of versus or competition videos between things that are similar price, but I'm one of these people to say, do I find value in owning both of them and for different purposes? And I think that you will find that as well if you get both. Like I said, I'll leave a link to them in the description. If you use those links, it does help out the channel. You do get a discount when you do use those links most of the time. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for hanging out. Hit the subscribe button and the like button, and we'll see you in the next video.